So with these budget struggles we've been having recently, do you think it's going to be easier to get in some more accountability systems?
Well, it works the other way around. If we had decent accountability systems, we would know where to prioritize the spending of money. I'm on the Human Services Committee. We'll start to meet in this next few days. The budget that we are being presented with takes a 10% cut across the board for a number of services to the mentally ill and the developmentally disabled, for example, with no sense that there are some agencies out there that are doing a much better job than other agencies are doing. There's no discrimination among them. There's no sense of understanding that there are good services being provided and some services that are not so good, and that we ought to be putting our money into those agencies and those services that have proven themselves to be effective and capable. The state is not doing that. I'm convinced that it's not going to be done until you have a chief executive, a governor, somebody at the top who will make it happen. I've tried to implement some of these changes as a member of the legislature, and trust me, it's hard. You need a chief executive who has the ability to hire and fire the department heads, and then it will get done.
Speaking of some of those cuts, the Department of Human Services and Education,
those are the two biggest.
They're the two biggest. There have been a lot of critics that have said, we can't have these cuts at this time. DHS said, look, we're in a bad economy. People need this money. The MEA has said, you can't cut education. We need this money. Do you agree with their criticism, or is this just something we had no choice to do?
Let's take education first. Maine spends more per student than the national median, and I can't remember where we stand. We're not number one or number two in our spending by any means, but we're up there, well above the median. And yet our teachers are not paid all that well. Well, the reason for some of that is that we have a very low teacher-student ratio. We have very few students in the classroom. And secondly, we have a very large number of kids who are designated as special education students, which means they get a lot of 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, which raises the costs and and lowers that ratio of teacher to student. So what we need in education is the ability to evaluate what teachers are adding for value in the classroom. And with modern computer systems, it is entirely feasible to assess the teachers themselves and students as they flow through. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it takes a while to explain it, but there are modern-day assessment systems which many schools in Maine are using, but they're not being used as broadly as they need to, where you can measure what a child is learning from September through June in some very tangible ways and very inexpensively. These are systems that cost something like $5 a student per year, and you can measure the student's progress through the year because the assessment can be given over and over again, and there's no cheating in these assessments. They're computerized.
Right.
Every exam, every assessment is unique in that child's experience. So, when you do that for the whole classroom, you can make judgments about the value that's being added by the teacher in that classroom, or not added, as the case may be. And you can begin to make judgments about who the good teachers are, who are the teachers that are really significantly affecting the lives of those children, and which ones are not, and which ones need help, frankly. But without those, the MEA resists any idea of that. Payroll, we pay our teachers on the basis of longevity, period, let your voice drop. That's the standard. If you survive for the first 2 years, you get tenure. When you get tenure, you're entitled to retire at age 62. That's the system. It's a lousy system. And the same is true for state employees. The retirement system is based on the notion that you're going to start work at age 22 right out of college, and you're going to be there at age 62 for your gold watch. And yet you're never going to work anywhere else. There's no portability to the pension system, either for teachers or state employees. And I have a bill that went through this last year that is requiring the pension system to come up with a new plan for new hires. I'm not sure that it will get passed. I doubt that it will. But as governor, I would try to see that it gets passed, because we need a new system for state employees and teachers. My daughter, I have a daughter who's taught in 3 different countries and 6 different states, and she's 40 years old. And she's Teacher of the Year down in her school system outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. Those are the kinds of teachers that we're going to see more and more of, professional teachers who take pride in their achievement and their accomplishments, who move from place to place, and who have portability to their pensions.